Fala pessoal, sou Kerry Araújo, estamos aqui em mais um vídeo do nosso canal. O vídeo de hoje é mais do que especial, como vocês já puderam perceber no nosso título. Nossa segunda entrevista internacional, feita dessa vez não apenas com o artista, mas com uma banda inteira, Gentle Giant, na forma de 3 dos seus integrantes, são 5 ainda remanescentes vivos, né? Mas 4 estão fazendo os media inquiries, as promoções, entrevistas e tudo mais até os dias atuais. 4/5 da última formação da banda, que ficou ativa de 1970 até 1980, mas a formação em si ficou de 1972 até 1980. Na forma de 3 dos membros que deram entrevistas aqui pra gente, que foi o John Wevers, o Gary Green e o Kerry Minnear, né? Felizmente o Derek Schumann ele não pôde comparecer nessa entrevista. Ele originalmente até compareceria também, né? Mas ele também atualmente não está fazendo os media inquiries, né? Que são essas promoções, essas entrevistas que a gente que são feitas de praxe em nome da banda, né? Então temos os 3 dos 4 que estão fazendo isso, né? O Phil Schumann, que é o irmão mais velho, ele saiu da banda em 1972, se aposentou da música, também não participa de materiais promocionais da banda recentes, entrevistas ou algo do tipo. E essa entrevista, ela fala sobre muitos aspectos, né? É uma entrevista que eu tive muito orgulho de fazer, eu espero do fundo do meu coração que vocês gostem. Antes dela propriamente começar, eu peço para que vocês se inscrevam no canal, ativem o sininho para as notificações e tudo mais. E que se vocês curtirem, por favor, não deixem de compartilhar o vídeo. Vai ser muito importante para crescer o canal e principalmente para ver essa entrevista que é a primeira entrevista da banda, vamos assim, para um canal brasileiro, né? Então é muito importante, é uma entrevista, claro, obviamente histórica, assim, pro rock progressivo, talvez no Brasil, né? Eu não gosto de usar esse termo muito porque sou uma coisa pomposa, mas de fato é a primeira entrevista da banda pro Brasil, para um veículo audiovisual brasileiro, né? Então eu espero que vocês curtam muito. E que seja a primeira de muitas entrevistas também futuras que a gente vai fazer com eles. A gente abordou muitos temas assim, mas o gancho principal da entrevista foi o novo relançamento do The Missing Piece, remixado pelo Steven Wilson, que saiu no final de março agora desse ano. A gente falou, claro, do relançamento e falamos também sobre vários assuntos a respeito da banda. Foi uma entrevista divertidíssima, assim. Tanto antes quanto depois, os membros estavam absolutamente muito solícitos, em estado de graça e etc. E eu fiquei muito honrado de recebê-los assim na minha frente. Fiz várias declarações, então já de antemão peço desculpas do meu lado um pouquinho tiete nessa entrevista, porque, porra, não tinha como não estar. Eles abriram também processo de composição de algumas das músicas mais conhecidas da carreira deles, detalhes sobre álbuns, detalhes sobre shows, inclusive, sobre referências que eles tinham, e etc. Adiantaram, inclusive, alguns spoilers sobre remixagens futuras, enfim. Eu espero que vocês curtam essa entrevista. É uma entrevista meio no estilo daquele programa Roda Viva, que várias perguntas, eu tinha feito os scripts das perguntas e as perguntas elas quase nunca tinham uma resposta fixa de um ponto final, e elas iam se amalgando com outros assuntos que eles iam puxando, e quando veio a gente teve 1h30 de entrevista. Então foi maravilhoso, eu espero que vocês curtam e bom vídeo a todos.
Fala pessoal, eu sou Kerry Araújo, estamos aqui em mais um vídeo do nosso canal, mais uma entrevista, e hoje eu estou entrevistando os três gigantes. Eu tô tão feliz que eu até errei a conta. 3 gigantes gentis da nossa música, do nosso prog. Gentle Giant, in form of the 3 of the members, Kerry Minnear, John Wevers, and Gary Green. First of all, before we properly start the interview, I have to say it's a really honor for me interview and talk with you guys. It's so amazing to see you, to see 3 of you here in front of me.
Well, thanks to the
Because
national
I have to say, I was back from a time. I think it was the end of 2000s when there was a lot of debate forums in Facebook about Gentle Giants, and we know everything. We didn't know everything about the band and about the members since the breakup in 1980. And I was thinking, how is these guys look at today? How is these guys are today? And we didn't have a little much of information about Kerry and about John. And these late years now, and we had a lot of information like that, and having the chance to talking with you and seeing you so healthy, so full of life, and so really you guys didn't change nothing. I was seeing, when I see John Weathers, I think he didn't change a lot since the Gentle Giants days, you know.
I looked old then.
No, don't say that. Don't say that. If I have to say, it's good to look quite old when you're young, because when you got older, you didn't change a lot, you know.
That's right.
Good point.
And then you want to look young when you're old. So here we are.
Yes.
Botox and everything.
It's only 50 years.
Yeah.
50
Oh my God.
years.
Yes.
A very short time.
Yes. It was yesterday, mainly, you know. So we had a lot of things to cover in this interview, and about, firstly, the remix and the release of the Missing Piece 1977 original album. And I have to say, I am really, you know, is it strange to say that, because, but I have to be very honest, I didn't see any, there's no weak Gentle Giant record. I love absolutely all of them, and I have a really hard time to pick up a favorite album of mine. I'd say that Gentle Giants has a favorite album of mine by a week. Last week was Three Friends. This week, I think it's probably Octopus. But next week could be, I don't know, Civilian. And it's amazing because even, of course, you have the changing styles all over the years, and especially on the final years of Chrysalis. But the power of melody and the power of good interpretations, of good framework and songwriting. We have one of the songwriters here, one of the mainly responsibles by that, which was Kerry. So it was really amazing. It really is hard to pick up favorites. And I have to say, The Missing Piece was one of them. And this remix really came in a very good time, because it's an album that I have to say, as a fan, you know, all of us were really eager to hear a remix, because all of the previous remixes were amazing. And all kudos to Steven Wilson, because the work he has done is amazing. And now I have to bring out Activate the Time Machine back to 1977, the period that the original album was made. And I have to ask you, how was the composition process back then? In 1977, there was a lot of changing musical styles, another musical genres, trends coming back then. The punk scene was really starting. There are a lot of pop music. The disco music was coming also. And I have to ask you, there was a lot of debate over the years among us fans that the idea of doing an album with the side one of other musical genres, and the side two of more conservative, to say that, to the prog roots and the sound of the previous records. And this idea of starting to flirt with other genres came from the band. It was idea that you guys started to involve back then, or it was as many would say, but I didn't know was true. That's why I asked him. Or it was a politically imposed idea of the record company Chrysalis. It's always, it's really a debate over the years, and I would really love to hear you talking about that.
Good. Yeah, I don't remember any conversations with anybody from a record company at any point.
Not about how to do that. No, I don't think so. Not at that point, anyway.
No.
They did one or more commercial, something they could probably sell later on, but that was albums to come. But Missing Piece, no, there wasn't. It wasn't that. It was for ourselves.
They did want a hit single though, all the way back to Power.
They always say that though, don't they? But
yeah, but
I suppose.
You know, we wrote, and Kerry wrote the single, the power and the glory, because I think Chrysalis asked for it.
That's right. There was a name, wasn't there?
Yeah.
They wanted radio play.
Yeah.
Well, there was an idea in us too that that's why we called it The Missing Piece, and that we hoped it would be the missing piece in our albums, that it would be the one that would become a hit. So it had a commercial poppy kind of leaning from the outset, from the beginning of the thinking. But I haven't listened to it lately. I don't understand, or I don't know how we got side one so sort of poppy, and then side two so sort of proggy, if you like. I mean, I don't remember there being any kind of talk about us doing that at the time. I mean, maybe Derek was thinking about it.
I don't think it was that conscious. No, it just happened that way. I mean, I'm Turning Around was written as a single, wasn't it?
Which one?
Yes.
I'm Turning Around.
Oh yeah, that was and
again that was, you know, the record company saying we could do with something that will, you know, and it did get on the BBC playlist. I remember getting parts from my Volkswagen Beetle, and it coming on in the showroom in VW down in Gorsayn, and I went, wow.
Yeah, we're on the radio, Mum.
Yes.
Yeah, but I love both sides in their own different way, you know.
Yeah. They're different records.
Different, aren't they? Because the proggy side two, I mean, there's some beautiful stuff on there. Kerry. As old as you're young. Oh, what? I cry every time I hear it.
It's a good song, isn't it? And Memories of Old Days, of course. It's been very poignant.
For Nobody also.
Which one?
For Nobody, I love too.
Oh, yeah.
This whole record is amazing. I want to pick up everyone, because even in the side one.
Yeah. No, I think it was purely organic. It's just what was happening. There was a mixture of thoughts in the band. You know, we really would like to have got to a broader audience, and so we had that half in mind. But there were still other things that we needed to write and be and do that came out with the other side. So yeah, there's certainly no thoughts, no political ambition, was there?
No.
It was just,
there was, I mean, and then there's the thing of like when you come to making the track lineup, you know, you record all these songs, these tunes, with no thought of which is going to follow which. You just record them.
That's right.
In whatever sequence, you know, and then comes time to, well, how are we going to put these together for the album? And then
Yeah.
This one sounds good coming after that, and that sounds good coming before this and that. And so sometimes just those two tunes next to each other don't sound good. So they ended up being sort of in their own camp, you know, sons of different mothers sort of thing.
Yeah, it sounds more contrived than it actually is.
Yeah,
that's us.
Yes.
Well, you know, the track listing, you know, underlining what you're saying, Gary, is that the song sounded right, following each other like that, rather than, okay, we'll make side one accessible to the general public, you know, radio play and all of that, and side two is the old Gentle Giant, which will keep the old fans happy. It wasn't done like that at all.
I was asking about exactly what the mix, the new remix, it really brings a new depth on the material, because the original mix, as many would say later years to come, that the band was never so satisfied with the original mix.
True.
And I don't know if it's true. Is it true?
It's true.
Yes. The original mix is a crime because it lacks the Ray Schumann bass.
and you know why that is?
And you have to be put in a jail if you erase buried Ray Schumann bass on a mix. You can erase anything that's Ray Schumann or Kerry Minnear or John Wevers or Gary Green or Derek Schumann or Phil Schumann done on the albums. Even it was a kazoo. Put there loud. I was really angry by that.
Yeah.
So what were you going to say there, Kara?
I was going to say the reason is that Ray was very influential at the mixing stage of things. And he was very self-effacing, and I think that was it. He never promoted his own playing. He always put it where he thought it ought to be. And of course, current thinking, I think there's a lot more bass generally than in that day and age. So we didn't do ourselves any favors. And In a Glass House is a classic undermixed Raymond bass, and we can't find the multis of that. They've disappeared, so we can't redo that one.
Yeah, and the bass drum is too loud.
What's too loud?
The bass drum on In a Glass House.
Yes.
Is about a couple of dB too loud.
About that much too loud.
Yeah.
Yes,
Can you have too much? Too much, Bugworth?
I seem to remember that we made a decision, sort of, to make Missing Piece more, to make it brighter sounding, because I think we thought, and I forget what was the album before Missing Piece.
Interview.
Oh, okay. Well, that sounded good, I thought, at the time. So not that then. When did we do In a Glass House? When was that?
1973.
Okay, well, yeah,
Good.
I think we thought that was dull sounding. I seem to remember we didn't want Missing Piece to sound like that. We wanted it brighter, but in doing so, we just sacrificed all the bottom end. I mean, the bottom end is missing out of every instrument. It's not just the bass instrument is low. It's there, but it's lacking. And I don't know, wasn't not in the process of with Stephen Wilson doing it, but I wondered how he actually went about him. I'd like to sort of hear that from him at some point.
Yeah.
If he actually had to, rebalance the instruments, or if it's just a matter of adding bottom end to everything. I don't know, but I'd be intrigued to find that out. But in any case, the new mix does sound really good. I'm very pleased with it. It's spatially good. Everything sits in a lovely area, and you hear all the instruments properly, and Ray's instrument gets its due position, and prominence. It's great.
Absolutely.
It really improved about our perception in the tracks. I have to say, when I hear not only Gentle Giant remixes but other bands remixes, that there's a track that I always thought, oh, that's an okay track. This is not bad, or this is not so good. And you hear the remix, it gives a new perspective. There was a particularly work in a form of an album or a song that improved really in your ears and your eyes as among these re-releases and these real new remixes, because there's a lot of great tracks in Gentle Giant's catalog that I thought, oh, this is a great track, and I hear the new remixes and I thought, wow, this is one of my favorite tracks. It happened with you in some time, this new wave of the remixes with Steven Wilson.
Yeah, he's got a lovely ear. He really has, and he's very sensitive, I think, to not change the character. He uses the old reverbs apparently that were that imitate the original reverbs. He doesn't, not too much digital stuff. He tries to get plate imitations. But he's also very good at discovering, because he gets to hear all the tracks, the ones we left out. And sometimes he leaves things in that we didn't use, even a different solo over a section. So the sharper listeners amongst us would probably know which they were, but I can't remember. But I know that he picks out things that weren't actually used and uses them. He might have two of Gary's solos going at once in certain places.
I've noticed that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go on. I'm done.
I've noticed that, and I wondered. I'd like to talk to him about that, because I don't know how sort of deliberate a process that was. If he decided to say, "Okay, well, we've lived with this guitar solo for whatever 47 years. We're now going to have a different solo," you know, because that happened in House of Street, the Room, I think.
Oh yeah. The
Maybe
whole
not,
tone.
but, the other one, you know, the one with Malcolm, People the Pain. There's a different one there, and whether that's a deliberate choice, which is fine with me. I mean, it's, you know,
No, we did.
Which ones you pick up, John?
Which one did I pick up? His Last Voyage. The bass is so pure and beautiful on that intro. He has rounded it. Well, he's actually made it into a heart shape. It is wonderful. The sound of the bass. I mean, he's got it just the way I imagined it always would be. It was very similar on the original mix, but it wasn't quite so, like a beautiful woman. Remember them?
You know.
I do.
Yes. I love your choice, you know. It's a really underrated track in the catalog. And I have to ask you about, now we're gonna reactivate more earlier the time machine, about your entrance in the band, entrance of each other. Gary and Kerry were there since the beginning in 1970, and then they joined the Simon Dupree and the Big Sound band of Ray, Derek, and Phil. And John came later in the Octopus. And I was asking, I would like to know, what was your first impressions when you guys entered in Gentle Giant? You thought, oh, this is gonna be really interesting band, or it was, oh, these guys are so mad. How it was the first impression that you guys had in your first works and in your first periods when you guys entered the band?
Shall I go first? Because I was first, I think.
Yeah, you go ahead. You were first. It wasn't Gentle Giant when you
Go ahead.
went, so yeah.
Well, I went down for an interview. It was quite a miraculous meeting point, but I to cut a long story short, I went down for an interview with another guitarist who didn't stay with the band very long.
Eric.
Yeah, and he went on to be a very successful music shop director. So we went. I was just blown away by the equipment they had, because I only had a little Thomas organ with a Leslie, and I just struggled to get back from Germany, where I'd been in a band for about 4 months, which was a total lesson in life, shall we say?
Teachable moment.
So having got back to walk, they were so professional, and just, I didn't actually know the band Simon Dupree, so I felt very disadvantaged. I'd like to have been able to say, you know, I really like this or I like that, but I didn't know what they were like. But as men with their instruments, I was well impressed. And we had to go and have a drink, me and the guitarist, while they had a little chat, and then we went back in, and sure enough, we got the job. But as I say, a few months later, but I was overwhelmed. We had a Mellotron, we had the 100E, was it? That's a Ford Anglia, isn't it? I'm getting confused between Ford Anglias and what was a Hammond? Was it M100?
Yeah, M100, yeah.
Yeah, which we later changed. But and then we just played around. Just the musicianship, particularly of Ray, was the first thing to hit me. And then the positive nature of Derek and his brother Phil, then the energy between those two breaks.
Powerhouse, weren't they?
They were of
an onslaught of enthusiasm.
Yes,
Okay.
Overwhelming, really. Yeah, but that was good for me, because I'm a very soporific sort of person, and have that energy and those argumentative energy, which is actually quite, you know, invigorating.
Something was always going to happen, wasn't it? You know, there was no complacency or like kind of downtime. It was never sitting on your hands. It was always like a move forward to make something happen. And I noticed that, I think, from my audition at the Pipe. Well, like you, Keras, I couldn't believe all the gear. It was obviously such a pro setup. I mean, and the fact that, because they had, you know, one of those box ads in the Melody Maker advertisement, you know, it was one of those box ads that had a frame around it. You know, it wasn't just like lines in the classified section. It was a, you know, name band wants guitarist for, you know, whatever, Success and the Moon. But it reeks of professionalism, you know. When I got down there, like, all the gear was there, these 100-watt stacks, you know. And like you, it was the band played so well, and I had never experienced that so sort of close, that loud, so present, with that sort of energy. It was. I thought, well, this can be a good thing, you know, if they like me.
And you asked to tune up.
Yes,
and
thank God.
Gary,
or I wouldn't be sitting there today.
he was literally the only guitarist of the day you asked to tune up.
That can't be true. That can't be true.
It's true.
Wow.
But what was the best choice? The destiny is so interesting that made Gary the only guy in there, you know. And the rest is history.
I jumped.
But he was great. You just blew over the top as well, didn't you? When we were doing we do some 5/8 stuff to try and 5/4 stuff to throw you off or something.
Yeah, trying to throw me off kilter there.
Your perspective, John.
Well, the band were well established when I showed up, and I was only there on a temporary basis originally, because Malcolm had broken his leg, and they needed somebody like immediately that would undertake a tour that they were about to go on. And so we had 2 weeks to rehearse before a tour. I knew the band from way back in the 60s when they were Simon Dupree. I'd known them from then. And we'd run into each other about 6 months previously to this, or 9 months, at a concert. I was playing with Graham Bond at the time, and we were doing this, the same university. The boys came to see Graham Bond, and I went to see Gentle Giant, and it sort of rekindled the friendship. So when they needed a drummer in a hurry, they thought perhaps I could do it in a hurry, you know, learn the set, and I was able to take on well, difficult phrasing and stuff like that. So I went and got the job on a temporary basis, and Malcolm's injuries kept him out for so long that the band kind of changed, evolved. I think evolved a little while I was sitting in for Malcolm. Decided that the unit as it was, luckily for me, very lucky for me, they liked the way I played. That was it.
Yeah.
The band did change to me how we played when you came on board. We sort of shifted a bit to some side, left or right, but we definitely changed kind of how we played. So it was, it was a progression. It was a step forward for the band. You know, you have to take what happens and go forward, and it was great you coming on board. But
it changed the way we wrote as well, because you were so solid. We both our previous drummers have been quite gifted and flighty.
Oh, very gifted, you know.
Yeah, absolutely given. But you brought a solidarity to the rhythm, which gave us more freedom to go off of it, if you see what I mean. And
I prefer to call it simplicity because I'm a very simple person.
The thing I always notice that the John entrance give a freedom to the band to invest more on rockier passages, with more fluidity than you, because there was a lot of rockier passages and stuff like that, and I think there was a lot of fluidity in their changing styles of Renaissance era music and Baroque, and then you got to rock and more even R&B influence directly over the course of the albums forward from Octopus Onward, I think. Octopus Onward.
Yeah. No, that's right.
And I have to ask you about something that was really blew my mind when I read and know about Gentle Giant, which is I always felt that you always been multi-instrumentalists, and your albums were recorded in a short amount of time, and I always noticed that because the arrangements were so complex, how it was.
Well, that was a question of money, wasn't it? I mean, recording in the short, it seemed, because studio time was so expensive, we just had to cram it all into 2 weeks. I mean, it was.
There's a lot of.
Partly, I mean, had we had loads of money, I'm sure we would have spent more time in the studio, but probably not to greater effect. Perhaps not, but it would have been a bit of a luxury that sometimes there wasn't quite the stress on you and Ray, perhaps, for the sort of, we're going to do an album in 2 weeks, get down writing kind of thing.
Yeah, there was always about 2 or 3 weeks, was it, we had to prepare some of the songs. And we would often still be rehearsing them, playing them. They probably wouldn't necessarily even have a vocal line yet.
Right.
And certainly not lyrics. You know, lyrics were often done, and then
In the
sometimes,
studio, yeah.
and sometimes I'd go somewhere else to do a little arrangement of something that needed an arrangement, or so the studio was actually a creative place as well as a recording place. So that's half of how we managed to do it so quickly, I think.
Yeah,
Do you guys?
you used
Okay.
to do quite a lot of the little answering parts on the fly. And I remember you go, oh, hang on a minute, and you nip off and get the pen out and
Yeah.
how does this sound? And it was perfect.
We'll get away with that. The one I remember is Empty City, the vocals on that. I think the lead line had been written, but all the other parts had to be written. So I remember going down to a little room where we did some mixing.
Yes.
That's
Sorry.
it. Yeah.
Then it's amazing.
Sorry, Kerry, you remember going down to a room because of that?
The room that we used to mix in when we first started to use the automated system and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember doing quite a lot down there on my own.
Yeah, I remember going down there and seeing the empty coffee cups and strewn pieces of manuscript on the floor.
Right, and a
Sweat on the
Revox.
keys.
A Revox statement.
I think there's amazing. You conquered to do these absolutely masterpieces of work, because all of the albums were absolutely masterpiece. It's not an exaggerated thing to say. And you're talking about some of the creative process, and I need to ask you, which album was the most, I have to say, I didn't say hard to make, but it was a more long process of writing, rehearsing, and recording?
That's interesting.
Very good.
The longest, the hardest.
There were perhaps individual tracks from various albums that didn't come together straight away, and we had to try and make something of them. I'm just trying to think of one.
I remember doing later on Giant for a Day, the track Giant for a Day. And we did we recorded the whole thing.
Wow.
And then we thought, this doesn't work. And so we recorded it, re-recorded the whole thing, drum tracks and everything.
Yeah,
just didn't have the groove.
That's
that's the only instance I can remember of sort of scrapping a used finished track,
or finding it difficult to find a purpose for something.
Yeah. I mean, other things sometimes we could tweak, but that was so reliant on us locking into a groove with the drums, and if it weren't perfect, which in retrospect it still isn't perfect, but it was closer the second time we did it.
Yeah.
I always felt that many people over the years claim the Three Friends album was really quite difficult comparing to Acquiring the Taste or the Self debut, because it was first conceptual album.
A concept album before we started recording it, Kara? I mean, were we recording it knowing the outline of the three friends who split, were friends, and did we know that while we were recording it? I don't have a...
Yeah, the first thing that happened was we were in Devizes in Wiltshire supporting Thin Lizzy. Yeah.
Just had this conversation with somebody, right? Go on.
No, there was an out-of-tune piano there in the back room where we were changing, and I played, and it was Phil who said, "That's really nostalgic. That's like being back at school." And he was the one who got me to finish that as a track, and decided that the whole album should be about being back at school, three totally different characters. So that one is very much Phil's. You know, I expect
Instigation.
Derek would have helped him fill it out, but it was a lovely concept, and I've always been, and I've always loved nostalgia. I still do, which is just as well when you get old, isn't it?
And the way it was layered, you know, peel of paint and working all day, and you know, the way he actually put it together. I mean, Philip was a very, very clever man. He was
well read,
really good. And he, of course, came up with the idea for Octopus, the octopus with 8 tunes, and it was going to be one for each of the band, one for the band as a whole, and one for the roadies.
That's right.
That was the original idea of Octopus. So he had
didn't work.
He had
couldn't do it.
Ideas.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Other albums, and I have to ask you about now in 2024, it would be 50th anniversary of one of my favorite. Oh, I'm saying that again. I'm gonna say that for all the albums, but of the Power and the Glory, and a lot of one of the things that most amazing of that record is not only the musicality, obviously, it's how the lyrics and how the concept of that record was really so were and still are so relevant to the world today about relations of power, social comments, and I would like to ask you, how was the process of songwriting and process of doing this record, which is gonna be the 50th anniversary this year?
Again, Kerr?
Sorry, I went off there. I was just having a little think. Can you phrase it again quickly?
Was that again for what was the process of like writing and conceiving the idea of the social commentary aspect of Power and the Glory? Was the theme decided on first before the writing happened? Again, I don't know the order in which these things sort of came about.
I think Derek was excited about that idea, the Power and the Glory, and the corruption of power. So had he been here,
Derek,
he would have been.
had you been here, Derek?
Derek, he would have been able to say.
Yes. Next time we're gonna put there on with you.
But I think
sure, I promise.
The story was molded around the tunes.
That's what I'm thinking. I mean, did you write anything, Kerr, with having a concept of this is supposed to be this guy making a proclamation from a balcony to thousands of people?
That would be quite grand, wouldn't it?
It would, and that's my question to you.
what tends to happen was that I just thought, oh, that's quite a good idea. I hope I get away with that one. And then
that's the reality of things, isn't it?
Just write the song. And then Derek, in his wisdom, would bring it into a context. But one of the loveliest ones, I think, Aspirations, was one that I just wrote out of something in here, and then he gave it the words that seemed to resonate with so many people. A lot of people have had that for marriages and things like that. So it was.
I have to say that I love your ballads and I love your voice, Kerry, on the albums. I know that you've never done much vocals live. Do you think your voice is? You have a lot of good, wider projection as Derek voice, but I have to say I really dig some of your lead vocal tracks. I love Inanimate Lullaby from In a Glass House too. These two are two of my favorite ones, and I really one of the most extraordinary things about Gentle Giants was this juxtaposition of different voices and different styles of singing and different of influences. Of course, there's tunes which is this juxtaposition is very clear, like On Reflection from Free Hand, for example, and I really dig that. And I need to ask you that these vocals, the juxtaposition of vocals, the arrangement of the vocals, were done quickly also, or it was truly a refined thing as along as the rest of the recording of the instruments, keyboard, drum, guitar, bass parts on the albums.
They do vary, don't they? But I mean, On Reflection was what you just mentioned. That was, I think I wrote that one out. I might have recorded it, but then I would write it out and then deliver the parts to individuals so that, and then once the parts exist and actually sound good together, you can then put them on different instruments and it's going to work. Or if it doesn't work, you don't leave it as a recording. But yeah, so that was pretty much written, that one. I think everybody sang that. We all sang on that one.
Yeah. I don't remember there being a demo of yours of that.
Yeah.
There wasn't.
You don't remember?
Did you do a demo of that? I don't recall having a tape demo of that.
Maybe not. I don't remember.
That might have been a studio job.
I remember learning the part. I think at your
Kerry
place
turned up with a big bunch of stuff, written stuff, and I go to the toilet, and Gary goes the other way because neither of us could read.
I thought what I used to do, this is what I tell people, but it's probably wrong, but I thought I used to record individual parts and give them to people to learn with the other parts a bit more distant so they could hear how it would. I think I'd all on cassettes. That was what I remember trying to do on various occasions, but whether I did it on that one, I can't really remember.
I have a tape somewhere of you playing the vocal part.
Right.
I don't know if it was specifically for me because it's a part that gets repeated, but what, in a rehearsal room somewhere, you can hear noises in the background and your whirly is banging out, and I'm going, oh yeah, okay, what's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I've got to tape it that way, but a complete demo of all the parts together. I
don't think I've done that.
No, I think you did them when we decided to do it live, because I remember you gave me the vibes part.
Yeah, which you've handled immaculately on every recording.
The original album, the vibe part was done by Kerry.
Oh yeah.
I didn't think that. I always thought that it was John as the same as live versions. My God, I probably should. I probably should imagine that Kerry because he's on the vibraphone, especially on the live performances of Funny Ways, where a thing of other world.
Well, that was a good stalwart song, wasn't it? We had that one for a long time.
It was a good 10 minutes of Heineken drinking from the back.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I have to ask you about.
Sorry.
I'm gonna ask you about. Obviously, we're talking about live concerts and how powerful and how amazing you were a band live. I have seen some other quotes of other bands that you played in venue for a night. Of course, you cited Tim Lizzy, and they had said that they were really stunning and a stunning feeling hearing and seeing you there on stage, the rapidity and of swapping instruments over the songs and stuff like that. And obviously you recorded much of these live performances for the playing the full live album. And Derek said in a recently interview that it's gonna be remixed again, and now it's gonna be the full show, and it's gonna be a triple live album if I am not mistaken. This new remix and this new release, it's gonna be this year or the beginning of 2025. How it would be, I'm really curious about that, because it's one of my favorite live albums of all time, I have to say. And the original album was amazing, obviously, and the expanded thing, when I imagined that, I thought, my gosh, I need to buy it as soon as I can.
Well, I have no knowledge of it really, Kerr. Do you know what the progress of?
Oh, I suppose if Derek had been here.
Yeah, Derek. If you'd been
Derek,
here,
oh, I should, of course.
No, I mean, obviously, it's a great prospect to be able to have that whole live album. That'd be brilliant. As for it being one show, it wasn't one show. The live album that we put out was a conglomeration of 4 gigs.
Yeah.
So, you know, a full album of the full set would be picking from, would be alternate ones, I'd imagine, than what's already on Plan the 4. But there'd be alternate picks from, you know, like the second best take from whatever venue we were in, you know.
Yeah.
But that would be great. Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Sorry, Kerry.
Oh, you're all right. Go.
But I've seen the interview where he does, spill the beans and say that's the next project, and it will be a triple album, and it will have more of the a few more of the songs that aren't on the original album, and alternate takes, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to hear that as soon as these got released, because I have to say there's some performances there on that live album which was really definitive version of some of the tunes. As much as I love, for example, the original version of Funny Ways, playing the full live album brings a new experience. Paraphrasing another tune by you, as for me as a listener, I love also the Octopus medley. How it was, I have to ask Kerry and the other, and of course Gary and John too, which was about songwriting again. How it was the process of merging those tunes in a search as a live medley of Octopus, because when I heard that medley, I thought, these individual tunes were so hard. Imagine how it was the right time of merging the boys in the band with advent of Panurge and stuff like that, and I imagine how it was adapting those tunes to a live setting with so dynamic and so different.
Boys in the band
the live setting.
Panurge were both in E, so that probably helps.
I think you and Ray did an awful lot of work on all that, didn't you?
Yeah.
Because of the guitar and so on. I think that was where Ray really came into his own.
Oh, he did. He
was always good at putting things together in a way that would work in a live situation.
Yeah. He was very good at taking these sort of two weird loose ends and like knitting this sort of Bayou tapestry between them and making this lovely sort of transition, make it all sort of comprehensible and making sense. He really had a knack that way. But yeah, I mean, sorry, go on, John.
It did change throughout the years. The Octopus lead, different bits were changed for other bits. And, you know, at one time we used to start it with boys in the band. At another time we used to start it with knots.
Yes,
right.
Yeah. So it was always a lot of fun every time we went out on a tour, putting the act together and seeing what new little nuances we could put into all of it, really, to make it a more exciting show every time.
Well, we tended to have a sort of get a bit bored, didn't we, as well? I mean, there was a lot of it was for our own kind of amusement, you know. Yeah, sanity is to change things around so that because we would play this, you know, you go on tour and you play the same show, not note for note, but pretty much for whatever, you know, 2 months or something, and you had to do that because of lighting cues, and back in the day it was all different and whatever. But so we would need to do this to sort of keep it interesting for ourselves. Yeah. So and we have certain goals in mind. You know, we were there as entertainment, obviously. So we would like to showcase, you know, our little string quartet. You know, Kerry cello, Ray on violin, me on guitar, John on vibes, or whatever, and Derek on sax or something, and to be able to showcase those little bits within tunes. But then sometimes they didn't exist in tune, so we'd have to make them up. You know, like the beginning to On Reflection Live is that I always like that little quartet we played as the intro to it. It was great. And the same for So Sincere. I really like those little bits. It really lent a contrast to the sort of loud stuff which was inevitably, crushingly about to follow. Yeah. So.
Talking about the live shows, what was for you guys the most remarkable concerts of the band's career? Obviously, in a positive way. We of course we have the incident with Black Sabbath, you know, that day. I always wonder who was the promoter that put you aside the Black Sabbath. I love both bands actually, but
it was our manager.
Strange combination. You should be there as soon as Black Sabbath should be with you. You know, it was strange like that.
Black Sabbath was our ticket to come to America. Otherwise, we wouldn't have. Our manager managed Black Sabbath and us at the same time, and I'm sure. I know.
Yeah.
You know, our manager said, you know, to a promoter in America, you want Black Sabbath? Well, then you take Gentle Giant as the opening act. So that's how it came about. But personally, that was a great experience, I thought. I mean, there was that incident at the Hollywood Bowl, but I was still in love with the idea of standing in the Hollywood Bowl, looking around and
exactly,
laughing at Phil, swearing at the audience. It was a fantastic experience. I mean, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
I know. Even the swearing.
Yeah. I mean, I remember because it was our first tour of America, you know, and the first time we got off the plane, we went out into this steam bath. You know, we'd never experienced humidity like I had before. Got out of the steps and I was soaked immediately. It was, wow, and we're into another world now. Off we go.
Yeah, so that was the same management.
While we were there, you know, we got on to the Jethro Tull tour for a month, which was the key. So it was well worth enduring. Well, I don't look on it as enduring touring with Black Sabbath. I really enjoyed it, as did Gary, and I'm sure the whole band, because playing to, you know, in 10,000 seaters every night is a great grounding. You haven't got to. We didn't start in small clubs. We went straight into big arenas.
Yeah.
And then, as I say, the getting onto the Tull tour immediately afterwards, and that put us on the map in America.
Because we learned how to play to large crowds pretty quickly. Yeah. Because we were opening for what was basically an antagonistic audience towards us, since you know we came on with violin and cello in the beginning of a Black Sabbath gig. So we learned to sort of strip it down to its I don't know, relevant parts, if you like, and we became kind of pretty sort of muscular and aggressive pretty quickly, you know, to break them down and win them over to our side, you know, which we pretty much did actually.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
It had to be because the crowd went. If you guys hadn't to be very harsh and respond the crowd was doing, you know, they were jumping to the stage and gonna hit you, and you need to be very harsh, muscular, as you say, because you know it's one of the teachings that life on road really teach you, because as a musician,
especially back then, and I mean there were many tours going around where there were very weird pairings of bands with opening acts just because they needed whatever it was, three acts on the bill. You know, we played some strange combinations, which I'm struggling to remember right now, but I mean we played with Mountain at Cobo Hall in Detroit, which is in the month of Sundays wouldn't put that together, you know? And those were tough gigs for us. I remember in Detroit, it was rock and roll city, and they didn't like us.
Yes,
that's right.
I always thought that, because I stay so nervous by the band so different within a same crowd, because I always tended that to think that music is harmony, you know, harmony between crowds and respecting the artists.
Yeah, and not true.
When I heard that story, I was so how a crowd could be so disrespectful. I don't know, you know. If I don't like an artist, I try to maintain a polite position towards him or her or them if it was a band, you know. It's strange. Yeah. It's really strange.
It was great when we could play to bigger audiences on our own terms, and the people that come there specifically to see you, you know, we were able then to have our backstage present a show in terms that we would want the music to be showcased in. Like we could have a backdrop with projection and pictures, which would, you know, help sort of interpret the tunes as we saw them to the audience. And that was more satisfying artistically for us than to have to go out and thrash through 40 minutes in front of a sweaty crowd somewhere, you know, not do the music. But that was our foot in the door to be able to play with Sabbath, and Carl, it was different. That was great, you know. But definitely, you know, the shows we were then later able to do on our own were more artistically enjoyable, should we say? Yeah. I will say.
Yes, it's really interesting to see this experience of you talking about that, because many people out there on the crowd didn't know how the artists got prepared to do. Today, there's a lot of course, we know Gentle Giant, important albums, influential for the progressive rock scene and for the musical rock scene in general. And I would like to ask you, as an instrumentalist and band members of these albums, which ones are the favorite of each other?
Albums
or tracks?
I will ask you first albums and tracks, you know. Which was Gary's favorite album, Kerry's favorite album, John's favorite album, and John, Gary.
You're going to get the same answer from all of us, I think, in that we don't have a favorite album particularly. With, you know, all the albums are wrapped up in sort of different kinds of memories for me. You know, it's like
that's right.
The atmosphere at the time gets folded into the musicality of the track, and I'm not able to separate them out. So I have great memories of most of the tunes. I love the live album, I got to say, just because it just I don't know, it feels glorious to me. We're really in our stride. We're a good live band, and we're really playing well, and we're enjoying it incredibly. And I love that aspect. So that's my answer, please.
Well, my answer is the same. It changes every week.
Yeah.
Just like yours, Colin.
I mean, this week it's in a glass house. I'm really enjoying In a Glass House this week. I was playing it yesterday, and a reunion came on, and I just melted. It's a beautiful piece, Kerry.
I didn't write it. I just sang it.
Oh, right. Is that Raymond?
Yeah, Raymond. Yeah.
Because it's like a string quartet.
Oh, I wrote that bit.
You wrote that. The arrangement.
He wrote the lovely tune, and Derek must have done the lyrics, I think. And so the guitar and the tune and everything, the harmonic content was all there. I did he had to do his violin bit, didn't he? Bless him.
Well, I'm sorry. I thought it was you because
I did the violins. That's all. I did the
string arrangement just reeks of you.
Yeah, it is. That is me. Yeah.
It's
really that I have a different album every week.
Yeah.
Same as Kerry.
Me, yeah, it's individual tracks that come to me at different times, and they're all powerful in their own way. You know, if they hit you, if something touches you about a song suddenly, it could be just as like Gary was saying, it's all mixed up with the nostalgia of the fact that it was so long ago for us, and it's just like a diary of our emotions and everything. And I just love it, really. I guess the Three Friends thing I quite like because it was
I do.
It's like a life statement as opposed to individual songs. There's a little bit of a lesson in the whole thing, perhaps. I don't know, but I like nostalgia, and it makes me happy.
It is. Three Friends is probably the album with the most sort of musical continuity through it. Well, no. Power and the Glories.
Some great musicality on it. I mean,
but it does have a real sort of shape to it. Friends. I was saying, I felt Three Friends has perhaps the best sort of continuity, best musical shape of all the albums, perhaps. But that doesn't, detract from the beauty of. I love the track "Experience," for instance. I think that's great. I love that. But yeah, as Kerry says, it's individual tracks for me, and the memories that they bring back, and
and the live versions of Freehand.
That's great, isn't it?
Yeah, I wrote the song Freehand on the album. But it doesn't have that wonderful sort of build of energy that takes that was all Ray. Ray wrote all that latter part. And I think when you hear us playing that live, sometimes it's just the sheer energy and togetherness of the band.
It's a train coming at you. It really is.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It really is.
Ray, as I recall, he kind of did that overnight. It seemed to me we got stuck in rehearsal one day, and it was like we've come to that part, and we go, "What do we do now?" Don't know. Let's go have a beer. And then the next day, Ray came back, and he's got this whole thing fleshed out. Like, okay.
Yeah.
What was your choices, John, of individual tracks?
Individual tracks?
Yes.
I just like so many of them. You know, I like all the tracks, everything. I've got particular favourites. You know, I do love Aspirations. I love that a great deal. And on the other hand, I love Number One, and I love As Old as You're Young. I just love everything. Really, there's nothing I dislike, because, as the guys say, you know, every single song has memories, you know, and it brings back memories, and all good memories.
Yes.
With this group, there are no bad memories. You know, as far as I'm concerned, they're all good.
One of the things that I most like it is that I see that you guys really enjoy each other company until today. And I as a fan of music, I hate when these guys got really angry at each other after bands goes in hiatus or a band got defunct. I have to say I love Pink Floyd, but I can't stand anymore Roger and David fighting. You know, I know there's has difference, but I really dig harmony, and I really dig, and I think that the ending of Gentle Giant in '80 was a true example of how it was. You have the idea. I don't know if was a truly idea of you at the time, but the perception that I had is something that, oh, we didn't have anything to offer musically, and so we're gonna put this on hold, and we're gonna stand as a friends, each other, liking each other and talking to each other. And it's so good because there's a lot of uh, I think that today there's a lot of complaints, angriness, fights, and obviously this is important on the humanity at a certain level. But unison, friendship, it's so good. Even when you don't need to, of course, you don't need to return to a reunion tour and to be valuable as unity. The unity is in the music, the unity is in your friendship, your relations. It's so good to see you joking at each other in this interview. I'm really with my heart full of happiness to see that. I have to say that.
That's
Good.
nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is there.
I have to ask-
It's just
It's a
there,
good
isn't it?
testament to the band, I think. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's all about respect.
Yeah.
We all respected each other. We all loved each other's playing. And there were no great egos in the band.
No, that's right.
It was just respect. So
Everybody has this importance. It's so good. I always compare you as the team of. They say that the Joe Cup of 1974 was the Clockwork Orange, with the players could do everything well on there when they're playing, and there's no of feeling of, oh, the goalkeeper is more important than the guy in the center. No, everybody there has a function. Everybody could do that very good, and everybody could play that good and contribute to a really musical, interesting, and relevant framework, as in the discography in the form of the songs. It's so good. How it, and I am asking
I think
about
that's
one
great. I've got to
question.
say, I think that's the first time we've got compared to a World Cup winning football team, and I'm thrilled about that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Compare us
it's that.
to the 1962-63 Tottenham Hotspur double winning team, actually. But there you go.
It's so good to hear that. So, about the Gentle Giants, resurgence all over these few years, these recent years. Of course, they had the amazing proclamation fan video. When I see that, I was thrilled. And
Yeah.
then they came after sampling of the proper proclamation and other tunes by you. I have to say that I am a member of many social media groups of memes and stuff like that, and there's a lot of other tracks used by you, tracks by you use it as a memes too. And how do you guys see this resurgence of the band, this through a new generation of fans? Because there's a lot of younger people knowing Gentle Giant now.
Yeah, well, that's the internet for you, isn't it? I mean, it's just done such an amazing job for us, really. It's just what made it, blown it wide open. And we keep uncovering little pockets of enthusiasm that you would never imagine would happen.
I think it is wonderful that there has sort of been this sort of rediscovery of the music. I think we all kind of wanted that to happen, because I feel like that the music didn't get terribly well appreciated in the first place. I think it just sort of missed its mark, but it is great to have had a second viewing, third viewing.
Yeah.
Well, now a constant reviewing, because of like all information is available to everyone all the time, anywhere. So that's
right.
bad, but it's clearly good when music and the arts are concerned, because you can just Google up anything and have instant access to the world best of everything. That's wonderful. But there was some magnificent music, I think, that Kerry and Ray wrote, and that Stan's repeated listening and enjoying. And I'm happy for all that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's thanks to people like yourself who actually promote the band.
Gary had a band. He played with Kerry, I think. It was Three Friends tribute band to the original music of Gentle Giant. It was a team for at least for my perception, for a short amount of time. And now, with this resurgence of the band, with this new interest of the band that is really growing, I have to say that, do you think in reactivate the Three Friends as a touring outfit for shows or stuff like that?
Not for me. No, I don't think so. I'm glad I did the Three Friends thing with Malcolm, because again, that had just sort of come on the heels of the band's music being discovered, popularized through the internet,
and
the various sort of fan bases that happened as a result of that. And it seemed like a good idea to be able to, for me, my idea of it was to present the music of Gentle Giant faithfully in a manner that I felt it could be played, and do a proper job of it to people who had never had the opportunity to experience it live. And I've done that. Malcolm and Kerry was part of that original thing too, and that was great. But since that's happened, I've had a heart attack, and I don't fancy being in the middle of the Indian Ocean having another one. So that's
it's not a good idea, Rick.
I can say, because
I'm happy not to do that. But it served its purpose. It is my point.
It made a lot of people happy, I think.
Yeah, it certainly did.
I struggled because I'm a lunger. I like having 7 keyboards and just lunging at something and playing a part on this. And suddenly I was down to pressing buttons to get the next sound. And I spent the whole time on stage just trying to remember what the next sound was that I needed to select, and
Yeah, that's
I
no fun, is it?
couldn't cope with it. So I had to relieve myself of that responsibility.
That there was a hint, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a hint of talks in the reunion in the 90s of Gentle Giant, because I read some of that rumors that John Weavers played with an exceptional rock band called Man after the Gentle Giant, and some of these rumors say that he left the band for that you guys planned with a short amount of time a reunion in the 90s. It was true, or it was an idea that never came to fruition? Do these things of, oh, I need to reactivate, or I need to accomplish again to play with those complex tunes, with those 10,000 keyboards on the stage, on a recording, or stuff like that?
No,
We never
it was never,
talked about it. No.
No,
No.
it was talked about, wasn't it? But mostly by fans.
It was floated by fans, yeah.
Yeah,
It's internet rumors, you know.
yeah.
It's fake news.
The band never discussed it.
Thanks for clarifying it.
yeah.
So I have to ask you about, of course, this interview was all about you guys as a music makers, and how influential you were and you still are to most of the prog bands and a lot of prog rock bands too. And I would like to ask you, which artists do you guys hear today? And do you hear some newer artists of rock, or which older artists, or which artists of any period of time do you guys listen? I am curious to hear about that.
I like Peter Gabriel's stuff that he did on his own.
Yeah, there we go.
I like the album So and the album Us.
Yeah.
They're,
I have heard the new one. I didn't like quite so much, I have to say.
I haven't heard it.
But yeah, I'm with you there. Those were magnificent, those albums. I saw Peter Gabriel live with that band on the WOMAD World of Music and Dance years and years ago. And it was Sinead O'Connor came out and sung the Kate Bush thing. And it was just brilliant. Here's Tony Levin, who I've since met and is a lovely bloke. Plays Stickman and King Crimson. Plays the stick bass. Magnificent player with Crimson, everybody. But stuff that moves me a huge amount. I've got to say, I've always liked what Richard Thompson does. He's very invested in his music. He's very soulful and great guitar player. Mike Keneally is doing lots of good stuff. He's perennially busy guy and always inventive and creative. And he's a real model of a player. I think it's really great that way.
So you guys didn't notice many newer progger artists or stuff like that? Many people ask me it because they seen there was a lot of resemblance in some of these bands like Haken or Dream Theater, stuff like that.
Haken I've seen, and I've met them, and they are big fans of Giant. Three friends played with them in Italy somewhere. And they're really good. They are a good band. I've been to many prog festivals of the late 2000s, I suppose, mid 2000s, and seen a lot of prog bands. I do like the band Oblivion Sun. They had some really good tunes out. There's a lot of music that goes unrecognized. But there's so many good musicians. Everybody is a pretty good player anymore. It's incredible.
And you, John, what you like to listen beyond birds chirping, of course.
That's my favourite too.
Well, I don't get the opportunity to go out and listen to go to concerts these days, and so I normally watch new bands on YouTube, and I've got to say that there's nobody that really grabs me and shakes me and goes,
Listen to this.
I prefer older stuff. I go back and I look at old concerts by Joni Mitchell and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, and that was my era, and that's what I like. I don't know what I'm looking for. I think I have enough musical enjoyment in what I do watch on YouTube. And I find with the newer bands, the newer prog bands, they lose me after about 5 minutes. They kind of get too technical,
I wish there was less reliance on technique and flash.
I'm just a simple guy,
Yeah.
He likes the straightforward thing,
Yeah.
I have to ask you the last question.
Okay.
I do apologize because I forced you to run out of time. I'm so sorry for that, because there's a lot of things to cover. And
Kerry's seen an eagle.
Kerry just wanted to leave.
There's a cat about to kill a pigeon. I thought I'd have to intervene.
So, if you guys could define Gentle Giant music in one word or phrase, what would we be?
Pretty exciting stuff. So I don't know, Kelvin.
Yeah, no.
That is tough. Honest.
Yeah.
Honest, emotional, good stuff. Proper music. I don't know.
Meant. Well meant. Well bent.
Considered. Except where it was ill considered.
Yes.
Great choices. Great choices of terms. What would be you choose, John?
Very interesting.
Von Weathers.
Kerry would be satisfied with the choice of Gary?
Oh yeah, I'm with him all the way. Whatever Gary says does for me.
And you, Kerry? Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
So
it's impossible to, I don't know, it just is many things, Gentle Giant music, to me at least. It's I don't know. It's it was my college formative years as a human being on this earth, and it's like so deeply imprinted in me that it's part of me. So that's what it is to me. So yeah, I mean, I love it to death, and it's irritating as hell at the same time. So
come on, Kerry.
Thank you, guys.
Let's have your phrase.
What have I got to say?
Your descriptive phrase for the music of Gentle Giant, please.
I done it. Well meant.
yeah,
Well meant.
Well meant. Yeah. Yeah. Here you are. It's well meant. Hope you enjoy it.
yeah.
Yeah.
The best choice possible.
Yeah.
I say incredible, exciting, amazing, thunderous, rocking, baroque stuff.
Okay.
It's a lot of 10,000 words, but anyway, you were everything of that.
But we couldn't say that, Kelvin. We're not allowed to be so egotistic as to say things like that.
We won't
But I
allow others.
am a fan. I could say that, and I could assure that.
Okay.
You know.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. I'm so honored to receive you. I'm really thankful for this interview. Thank you for accepting. I'm really emotional to do this interview because it's one of the bands that marked my teenage era and marks my life until today. So it's really exciting, it's really emotional, it's really amazing to receive Gary Green, one of the best lead guitarists that England produced. Kerry Minnear, inventive, absolutely stunning songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and the organs on the vibraphone, on the glockenspiel, on the cello, and the thunderous, amazing rhythm of John Weavers. I have to really, really, really thank you for the music that you've done over these 10 years, which is gonna resembles and resonates to the eternity. Thank you so much. I'm really, really, really delightful. I'm really honored to receive you guys here on the channel. I want that. I wish really, really, really that is the first of some future interviews that we all done. The next time we're gonna put Derek here. He's gonna talk about the power and the glory and the other stories too. I promise.
It's been a pleasure, an absolute pleasure to meet you and to talk to you. And thank you very, very much for taking the time to interview us again. And
thank you.
Life.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for accepting.
Okay. Bye.
Have a great day.
Nice to see
Bye
you.
bye.
John, we'll do this again sometime.
Bye, guys. See you soon.
Bye-bye.